Nityanand ji, how do I address you?
Yeah, this is fine. This address is fine.
Thank you.
Whatever you are comfortable with.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Corina Pereira. Welcome once again to our SGR Knowledge Series. The session of Knowledge Series is organized every month. Irrespective of the pandemic and lockdown, the sessions of Knowledge Series will continue to encourage, motivate, and enhance the energy of the audience of Knowledge Series. Knowledge Series is a point of origin for the Central India's first multilingual literature festival, Orange City Literature Festival, that is OCLF Nagpur. OCLF is now entering into the fourth edition this November 2022 after the success of past three editions of it. Knowledge Series is now a part of Orange City Literature Festival. The topic for today's session is Icons of Grace and is supported by Westland Publication. Today we have invited our speaker, Prabhu Nityanand Charan ji, in conversation with our moderator, Ms. Sangeeta Varma. Mr. Nityanand Charan is a practicing monk at the Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, ISKCON Chowpatty, Mumbai, and a visionary who wishes to revolutionize the current urban scenario by aiding people to lead a life of purpose, fulfillment, and satisfaction. He also specializes in guiding today's youth to reconnect with their roots and lead a simple yet happy life. Nityanand Charan focuses on making the sacred teachings of our holy scriptures simple so that they resonate with anyone and everyone. His message is simple. Spiritual life is not a life of rejection, it is a life of connection. He says, we do not have to give up in anything. We simply have to add this valuable dimension to our life. His divine radiance can be felt far and wide. His discourses are heard in every major city of India and in many more than 50 countries across the globe. On behalf of SGR Knowledge Foundation Knowledge Series, it's my pleasure to welcome you, sir. In conversation with our speaker, we also have a moderator, Ms. Sangeeta Varma, a company secretary by profession. Ms. Sangeeta Varma was an adjunct lecturer in Institute of Chartered Financial Analyst of India, that is ICFAI, for its CFA cum MBA course. She had authored for ICFAI two editions of its curriculum textbook on economic legislation covering company law, funeral general laws, and direct and indirect taxation. She also worked as a project manager with the end to end responsibility of managing a hospital project in her free time. She lends her support for environmental causes and is currently working at saving the beautiful but fast disappearing granite rocks of Hyderabad. She is the joint secretary of the Society to Save Rocks and is an active member of a trust working in the fields of rape and sexual abuse, police reforms, and environmental related issues. She also has been actively involved with the offline sessions of Hyderabad Literary Festival until the lockdown hit the country. We welcome you, ma'am. To get the straight to the session, now I request ma'am to kindly take over the session.
Thank you, Corina. Thank you for the introduction. I'm grateful that SGR Knowledge series sessions have given me an opportunity to be talking to Prabhu Nityanand ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for writing this book, detailing in a very simple manner the life stories of all the 21 saints that you've written about. It made for a really interesting read. And I personally came to know of many saints that I had not even heard of. So let's start with something that you mentioned, which even Corina has spoken about while introducing you. Spiritual life is not a life of rejection, it is a life of connection. Could you please explain this to us?
Yes, so thank you very much for having me over. This is not my philosophy, this is Bhagavad Gita's philosophy. And many times people have a misconception that taking to spiritual life means giving up so many things in life and uh, running away from responsibilities. Sometimes people may just take it as a way to escape from their worldly duties. But we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he is a prince, he's a leader, and he's knowledgeable, he's young. And sometimes people think, oh, we practice this when we get old. So Krishna is teaching through Arjuna. Arjuna wanted to run away. He wanted to give up his duty of being a Kshatriya. In fact, Krishna forced him to stay back. He said, Arjuna said, if I do this duty as a Kshatriya to fight this war, I would get sinful reactions. Krishna said, if you don't fight the war, you will get sinful reactions for not doing your duty. So again and again, he encourages Arjuna to not give up duty, but utilize whatever talents, expertise he has to serve him as per his will. So that is what spiritual life is all about. We don't have to give up what we are doing. We just have to add God into our life. And that's a very simple concept, but so simple that people miss it. We don't have to give up anything. We don't have to give up our lifestyle. We do not have to give up our home. We can live in palatial homes. We can enjoy life. We can earn money and we can be moving out in the world. And at the same time, we also have God in the picture. So what we do is we just make God also a member of our enjoyment. Like we are here to enjoy. The soul comes to this world to enjoy. So what we are doing is we're just adding another member to your enjoyment. We're just adding another member to your family. We're just adding another member to your house. So that's what spiritual life is all about. Not rejecting anything, rather utilizing what we have to connect with God. That is why Gita is known as Yoga Shastra. Now there are two words, yoga and viyoga. Yoga means to link, and viyoga means just the opposite, to disconnect. So one of the names of the Bhagavad Gita is Yoga Shastra. It is known as Viyoga Shastra. Yoga means to link, to connect. It doesn't say it's a Viyoga Shastra. We have to disconnect from anything. It is meant for connection, reconnection, re-establishing that connection that we have lost, which is actually every human being's duty. We are all parts and parcels of God, so our duty is to serve the whole system being parts and parcels. So that's what we have to incorporate, this conception that, no, you don't have to reject anything. You just add him into your life, and addition should never be a problem. Like a miser, people who are misers, they have a problem giving away something. But even they would not have any problem when they have to just accept. So, especially the yuga we are living in, Kali Yuga, the Lord does not demand anything. Just add me to your life, and your life will become auspicious. That's it. And that's what spiritual life is all about. And that's what I've been telling people. And rather than, so it is also the nature of the mind to work really hard to process a negative instruction. If you tell the mind, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, the mind is constantly thinking about what it is not supposed to do. It is very difficult. But if you simply tell the mind, do this, it immediately cooperates, accepts easily. So, acceptance, not rejecting, acceptance. That's the path of the Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita has been spoken for people like us. So, just add, and that's it. That's called a life of balance, because human life doesn't just mean that we have to advance materially. A well balanced human life means we also advance spiritually, and that's called a life of balance, like a parallel railway track. Both should go hand in hand if you want to be happy. Yes.
What is the connection between spiritual life and devotion?
It's synonymous, it's the same thing. See, if we are spiritual life means we are trying to reconnect with our source, and uh, how we express that, like how we want to reconnect with a person. Suppose I want to develop a relation with somebody. It cannot be simply sitting in one place and thinking about it. We express it through our words, through our actions. So the words and actions that we use to glorify, to connect with Lord, to spread His message, to study, to hear His message, to apply it in our lives, those actions are called devotion. Love and devotion, they are like synonymous words. So spirituality is understanding who we are. It's a set of practices that we apply in our life to uh, realign with our spiritual nature. And then we express it through our words, through our action. That's called devotion. Devotion is both internal as external. Internal means somebody might be having a lot of devotion, but he may just hide it within his heart because it's not something to be uh, highlighted or publicized on your social media, like everything people do nowadays. Even if they're eating, then let the whole world know what they're eating. And if they're going to sleep, they let the whole world know. Like I tell the joke, there was a time when if somebody would come into our house, some guests, some relatives, we would always have a secret diary and would always be worried that somebody should not see what is there inside, that somebody should not open the diary. Nobody should see. And nowadays we have those same diaries in the form of Instagram, Facebook, and we post something. Unless everybody has seen, we are worried. So how things have changed. Now we want the whole world to know. So somebody who has real devotion, he would not make a show of it. And that I have devotion, it is automatically expressed through his actions and words. So by that we can understand, just like you have children, your children love you, so they love you, so automatically they would want to do something for you. They might get a rose for you, they might get a gift for you. So that is, so somebody which is inside, it just comes out through words and action. That is called devotional service. The love of the heart gets expressed through your words and actions, because love doesn't just mean simply sitting passively and doing nothing. I love you, I love you, I love you. But if the person is in need of a glass of water, oh, that I cannot get, but I love you. That's not love. That's not devotion. So it has to be expressed through words and actions. If we love somebody, we must serve that person. And that's called devotional service. So spiritual life and devotion, they are non-different. Just two words. And they mean the same.
Okay. Okay. When did you feel this devotion and the desire to move into the spiritual world? When did it start kindling within you? You did make a move when you were just 24, but the
Yes.
process must have begun rather early. So, what was the calling, and what happened that calling happened?
I think it was just in the family, but I come from Himachal Pradesh, a North Indian family, where it is quite natural, where people worship Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati, like that. So I grew up in that kind of household. Of course, there was no Krishna in the picture, but they were worshipping Shiva and Parvati and other demigods. So it's only when I came to my college, which is in Maharashtra, in Baramati town, after my 12th standard. So second year of my engineering is when we came in touch with the devotees of the Lord. So the temple I'm a part of in Mumbai, Chapati. So devotees had come, and it's a funny story. And there was an announcement. So actually, what happened? I was a lot more into mystic kind of things. I was reading so many books about the Himalayan yogis and the mantras, the mystic perfections they had achieved, and various conferences they would have every now and then in some mystical places. And I was actually looking for a guru. And specifically, I zeroed down upon one person, but he was no more. But I found something, couldn't get in touch with that organization. So it was always my, you can say, time pass. I wouldn't say pastime, where whenever I would see a bookstall, I would just run up to the bookstall and I would look for those books which would have something like Tantra, Mantra, Yantra, and yoga and all that. So I saw a bookstall in Baramati town and I ran up to them. But when I look at the book, I was very disappointed. None of the books were talking about, they were all about some scriptures. So I said, "Do you have a book on Lord Shiva?" They said, "No." I said, Then I'm not interested." So it was a sadhu who was dressed up in white. He spoke good English, which was my first encounter. Anyways, I didn't pay much attention then. Next morning, there was an announcement in our college that today there will be a seminar on secret of happiness. And we were very happy because college would get over at 5:30, and that day it was getting over at 3. So early means we would go and play our cricket. So we were very happy, and as we passed by that seminar room, so we thought, should we attend, should we not attend? And finally we decided, me and my friends, we are not going to attend. As we were exiting the college building, I see two people entering, one in saffron, one in white. I had no idea that they had connection to the sadhu I met the previous day. Never met them, and suddenly I stopped my friends. Hey, let us hear from them. They speak good English. So I said, where is that coming from? I didn't pay much attention. Then we heard, in the end, they announced they would like to conduct weekly Gita classes. So we said, okay. Gita, I was always intrigued by, always wanted to learn at least once in my lifetime. That desire was there. Even during my college days, I was always thinking, once in my lifetime, I want to understand what is there inside the Gita. So when they said it, we offered our cottage and they started coming every week, and gradually we started liking it. And that's how the process began. And it just happened. Once I came in touch with the process, then that uh, move towards Krishna was, I think, it was beyond my control. And still, I was hooked on to Lord Shiva. Whenever they would chant Krishna's name, there would be satsang. I would keep my mouth and eyes shut. I would not chant Krishna's name. And inside, I was praying. It was Ekadashi, like today is Ekadashi, holy day of Krishna. And I just prayed that Krishna, I want to chant your name. I want to worship, but I am a Shiva devotee. How can I chant your name? This is how I prayed. So next morning when I was leaving, this was the only impediment at that time. So the devotee gave me a Bhagavad Gita, and as soon as he opened the Bhagavad Gita, guess which page opens? It is some 10th or 11th chapter where Krishna is saying, "Among the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva." That page opens, and that was it. I closed the Bhagavad Gita, that was the end. And then it was just Krishna. It just happened. And when I completed my engineering in 2006, so I came and joined the temple. So it was just, I think, beyond my control also. There is a long story, but in short, I could, whatever I could share this platform.
In one of the chapters of your book, you have written that Lord Shiva says that the dearest to him is Lord Krishna, the one he loves the most.
Yeah.
So he considers himself to be the disciple of Lord Krishna, in fact.
True, true. Yes.
So, there's one thing which you have written, and I am intrigued by it, which says that our dear Lord Krishna, who becomes the main audience when the glories of his devotees are chanted. And you
Yes.
went on to say, when you were speaking about King Kulakshekara, serving one pure devotee of the Lord for one day is equivalent to serving the Lord for 60,000 years. Could you
Yes.
please elaborate on both these statements?
So in the United States or in the Western world, there is a saying, it's a crude example. If you love me, love my
Okay.
dog.
Yeah.
So if you love me, love my dog, right? Because
Yes.
that dog is very dear to them. You can slap them, but you can't say a word about the dog. Parents. Now, do you have children, Sangeeta ji?
No, I don't.
Say
I
somebody
have a
whom,
nephew that
okay. So
I have a
somebody,
nephew that I really got on.
somebody whom you love the most. So what will
My
give you
nephew.
what will give you greater pleasure when somebody serves or glorifies you or your nephew whom you love the most? Definitely
Great
somebody.
happiness.
Yeah. So that's what Krishna's heart is. There is a scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam where there is a series of verses where he pours his
Mhm.
heart out. Where one great sage, Durvasa Rishi, he offended a great devotee by the name Ambarish. Now,
Mm.
Ambarish was doing Ekadashi Vrat for 12 months. He had not eaten. And this sage Durvasa comes. And he is a yogi, mystic. And Ambarish is a devotee. And Ambarish was such a great devotee. He's a king. Again, not a life of rejection, life of connection. He was a king handling so many things. He was also worshipping God. So he performed his fast. And for one full year, he went to Madhuvan, a place called Vrindavan. That spot is still there. And he was about to break his fast. And Ekadashi fast has to be broken within a particular time period. Otherwise, your whole fast, it goes in vain. And Ambarish was such a great devotee. He had surrendered everything and he was utilizing every moment of his time in remembering and serving the Lord and having discourses on the glories of the Lord in his, like King Kulashekara, in his kingdom. And the kingdom was also running nicely. So he was about to break the fast, and Durvasa Rishi enters. And he's like a transcendental personality. So Ambarish, seeing a guest, he offered him to eat. But Sage said, I'll come back after some time, I'm going to take bath, my noon bath. He went into Samadhi, didn't come back only for a long time. And meanwhile, the Muhurat for breaking the fast was passing. So he consulted some Brahmana. They said you can drink little water because that is equivalent to eating and not eating as well. Until the fast would be broken. So he had a drop of water. When the sage comes back, by his mystic power, he understands, oh, you have eaten before the guest, you have forgotten the shishtachar, the etiquette. He got so angry just because somebody had a drop of water. The sage got so angry that he produced a fiery demon to kill Ambarish for such a trivial mistake. But because Ambarish was so dedicated to the service of the Lord, he didn't know, but the Lord had stationed his Sudarshan Chakra to protect him always. So the Sudarshan Chakra appeared and immediately destroyed the demon, and then it ran after the sage. Sage went to Brahma, who was about to come forward. When he saw Sudarshan, he said, you get away because otherwise my Brahmaloka would be destroyed. Then he goes to Shiva. Shiva comes forward. He said, you just go away because my Kailash will be destroyed. Then he goes to Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu is sitting, lying down with Mother Lakshmi's at his feet, massaging them. And he falls down at Lord Vishnu's feet. Lord Vishnu knows everything. He said, when he begged for forgiveness, he said, I can't do anything. If you had offended me, I would have forgiven. But if you have offended my devotee, and my devotees, they are so dear to me, they know no one but me, I know no one but them. They are my heart. So unless he forgives you, you can't be forgiven. At another, he speaks a series of verses full of love. And in another place in Bhagavad, the Lord himself says that my devotees are so dear to me that even if the conduct of the one of the limbs of my body is found hostile towards my devotee, I will separate that limb from my body.
Oh,
There's another story. There's another story in South India. You heard about the place called Kanchipuram? It's in South.
yes,
So Kanchipuram, there is a famous
yes,
deity of called Lord Varadaraj. So there was a famous deity
yes,
of the name who's still there, Varadaraj. There was a great devotee, uh, Kanchipurna. He's there in the book also. So he had such devotion that I have mentioned that in Ramanujacharya's chapter. He could actually reciprocate. He could speak to the Lord. He would hear, and everybody knew that the Lord speaks to him. And his main seva was
yes.
to thank the Lord, Lord Varadaraj, that same deity who comes out only in once in 46 years. Sometime back he had come out. There was a lot of rush last year, I think, or last to last year. So he was fanning the Lord, and he asked the Lord. Um, he was very hesitant, but he for the first time he asked something about himself. Said, "My dear Lord, will I come to Vaikuntha after I leave this world? Because the soul has to go somewhere. There are heavenly planets, hellish planets, middle planets, earthly planets. There is a spiritual planet as well, where when the soul gets liberated, which is the goal of human life." So he said, "Will I come back to you after I leave this world, to your realm, where there are countless living entities, life is eternal, full of bliss?" So the Lord said, just like we have this material world, we have the spiritual world, similar, but their things are pure and eternal. Sometimes people might wonder what is there in spiritual world. Same thing that is here, but it's up there also in a purest form. So the Lord said, no, first what Kanchi Purna said, he spoke about one of his disciples. My dear Lord, will he come back to you in this lifetime? The Lord said, yes, he'll certainly come back. Then he spoke about another disciple of his. Will he come back? He said, yes. He asked about another devotee. He said, yes. And then he asked about all his disciples who were learning from him. And finally, he hesitatingly asked, will I also come back? The Lord said, no, you can't come back. You won't be able to come back. It may take you some millions of lifetimes. And he was like, why? You said, all my disciples are coming back, but you said, I am not coming. The Lord said, same thing. He said, you are serving me, but they are serving
Yes.
you. So their perfection is guaranteed because they are serving my dear devotee. But you are trying to serve me directly. So it takes time. So then and there itself, Kanchi Purna put that fan down. He said, I'm leaving your service. I'm going to go and serve your devotees. He went, spent a few months, then he came back. The Lord said, now you're qualified. So we have to approach God. We have to approach on his terms. And he has made it very clear. My devotees are very dear to me. And devotees are so dear that even if somebody is not a directly devotee of the Lord, but somebody is serving a devotee, and he may never have any devotion, but the Lord will shower more grace on that person. So it is better to always become a devotee of devotees rather than trying to directly approach the Lord, because that needs a lot of purity and a lot of qualification, which may not have within one lifetime. But if we somehow or the other please the devotees of the Lord, for sure we'll be blessed. There is a verse in the Adi Purana which says that, I think I have mentioned that in the book, that one may have doubt that a devotee of the Lord, a direct devotee of the Lord will be liberated, but one should have no doubt at all that the devotee of the Lord will get liberated. That's guaranteed. So it's his heart, and he's a person. So that's how he deals. He's very, very inclined towards his devotees. He speaks the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita as well. So if we are connected to devotees of the Lord, then 100% we'll be blessed. We may not be directly devotees, or we may not have any devotional attitude, but if we love devotees, if we please them and they are pleased with us, we are sure to get his blessings. There are countless examples related to that. Of course, we can have the whole session on that, but we have to stick to whatever time we have.
One thing which I noticed in your book, that almost all the 21 saints that you have described and written about
Ji.
were born or are around in the era when Emperor Akbar was reigning the land. Is it just a coincidence or is there a connection with the ruler?
Not really, because Mughal rule was there for many, many years. And it is just that 500 years ago, 1486, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, who is the manifestation of the Lord in Kali Yuga. He is known as a hidden incarnation, although mentioned in the Vedas, mentioned in Bhagavad, mentioned in Mahabharata. Not many people know about that, but gradually the whole world is coming to know of it. So when the Lord comes to this world, and he appears as per the schedule. So if any incarnation of the Lord has to come into this world, he should have been mentioned in the scriptures, number one. And incarnation of the Lord always appears as per the schedule. That is also mentioned, where he'll appear, what will the activities of the incarnation will be. Because every incarnation of the Lord that comes has a specific mission. And whenever the Lord comes, just like, say, the Prime Minister tomorrow decides to visit Nagpur, right? So he has a set date. Say he wants to come 10 days later, maybe 10th of Feb. So what happens is some people will go before him because that's when he decided to go. Some people will come with him. Some people will maybe come after him to do the work that he left behind. So any great personality, he doesn't come alone. Similarly, when the Lord has to come into this world, he appears with a mission in mind, and he brings along all his associates who have to assist him in his mission. So some of them appear before, some after, some along with him. So because it was a time period when the Lord was scheduled to appear, so that's why you see. And coincidentally, it is the same period when all these other personalities, including Akbar, they had also appeared. So he was one of the kings. I think he's one of the kings who got the opportunity to meet so many. And I'm not really sure, but in Bhavishya Purana, I've read he had some. If all the accounts that are mentioned are true, so the Bhavishya Purana also mentions what events will take place in Kali Yuga and which kings would appear. So whatever will happen. So Akbar's name is also mentioned, and he had some past life Sukriti. Sukriti called some devotional connection, and that's what we see that he was able to be more receptive to
He was Sukriti in a past life.
No, some connection was there. Bhavishya Purana mentions. So I'm just quoting Bhavishya Purana. So that's why we see there is some sort of receptivity to the culture, and he was helping, and he was given the opportunity. More than that, I was always thinking that such great souls, and why only this person was getting the opportunity to meet, because one doesn't get an opportunity to meet a great soul just like that. It comes after lifetimes of prayers and hard work. And once that happens, the doors of liberation are open. So then I just found this in Bhavishya Puran. His name is also mentioned, and there is some connection from the past. And it is just a coincidence that this time all these personalities were appearing.
So you're saying in Bhavishya Puran his name as Akbar is mentioned?
It is mentioned. It is mentioned. Even Mirabai's past life is mentioned. Shankaracharya, his 20 disciples who would appear again in future, and in what forms. So a lot of things. So I just went through that a little bit. So if the Bhavishya Puran, that version, if you read, you can find a lot of details in that.
Okay. Is there any other, apart from Bhavishya Puran, is there a historical reference of, Akbar's visits to Vrindavan and his witnessing Vrindavan in all its glory? You mentioned twice, actually.
So Bhavishya Puran doesn't mention his visits to Vrindavan. And Bhavishya Puran doesn't just mention his name, because you asked specifically, so I said, so other kings are also mentioned in who appear in India.
Question.
I understood your question. So These incidents which I have mentioned in the book, they are, that is just like the incidents take place, how the knowledge is passed down to us. So there was a great saint of the same name Nabhaji in Vrindavan. He has written an elaborate account of all the devotees of Vrindavan. In that, he specifically mentions this. He has put everything in a book, and it is one of the most famous book among the saints. It's called Bhaktamal, and it has the details. And I have taken some details from there, from that book.
Okay. Okay.
Ji.
Tell me, Prabhu, why is it so difficult to go within and to connect with our source? Is it necessary that, you said spirituality is connection, connection is equivalent to devotion. Is it also equivalent to renunciation? Only then you can connect in the purest form with your source?
No, I did answer this right in the beginning. We don't have to renounce. See, renunciation will automatically happen.
Every person that you've written about actually has lived a life of renunciation.
Yes, true.
And some have gone through very, very hard lives.
True.
So, for example, when you were talking about, you've written about Jiva Goswami, for example. Oh, he has really been through a lot.
Right.
So, why is that path of connecting so difficult?
It is not difficult, but see, anything great has never ever been achieved without some hard work. And the 21 personalities mentioned in the book, they teach us the highest standards. So if we don't know the highest standard, of course we will never reach there, we might never reach, but at least we can try and follow in the footsteps. If we don't aim for the highest standards, at least if we don't know the highest standard, we'll end up nowhere. So if somebody's goal in life is 33 marks aa jaye bas exam mein, do you think he'll get 33? And that's how he studies. He may just end up attempting 25 marks and may just get 15 marks. So somebody who is aiming for 100, then effort also is accordingly done. So the Lord teaches the world through those whom he loves the most. So he uses his own devotees to teach us how life should be lived, how a renunciant should be, how a person who is living in a family should be like. And renunciation is something which naturally comes. It is not that it has to be done, like you see the example of Kulashekar. So he was so deeply absorbed in love for Lord Ramchandra that he couldn't tolerate any distraction from that, although he was doing it. So just naturally it might happen, but these are rare examples, people who have renounced. If you read Bhagavatam, countless examples, you see the Pandavas, Krishna forced them to sit on the throne and they were renounced also. So renunciation is of two types. Vairagya is of two types. One is called Falgu Vairagya, one is called Yukta Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya means it's kind of superficial renunciation, rejecting the things of this world, considering them to be illusion. That is one form of Vairagya. But Vedanta Sutra explains Janmadiyasya yataha. Everything comes from the Lord. So if everything is coming from the Lord, how can something be unreal? How can anything be material? It is our vision that makes it material. So then there is second form of Vairagya or renunciation, which is called Yukta Vairagya. And Yukta Vairagya means not rejecting things of this world, but utilizing the things of this world to serve Him, to connect with Him. And this is a higher form of renunciation, because giving up something is easy, but to use what we have in God's service is something which is extraordinary. And if you read the Bhagavad, you read Mahabharata, countless examples, 99.99% were great kings who were living a life of pure devotion. They were running kingdoms, not just one or two companies, and they had lakhs of people to take care of, and they had a huge family. And they would also have a temple, they would also have festivals, they would also have discourses, and that way they were setting the right example. So we need example for every type of person in society. We need examples for renunciants. So these people taught us how a true renunciant should be like. And then there are examples who are living in family life. For them also we need certain examples that they can follow. So we have many kings living like that. So wherever you are and whichever situation is best suited for you to revive that devotional connection with the Lord, that spiritual connection, that should be taken up. And these personalities thought that this is how they wanted to connect. They wanted to renounce. But there are many who didn't renounce and they were on the same equal platform. So renunciation, we have to know what is real renunciation. Like a laptop, it was never invented by the company that one day it will be used for a WebEx meeting or discussing about the Lord or having Zoom discourses. But we are using it. So that's called, I may reject it also. Oh, I should be a Vairagi, I shouldn't. But then how will I reach out to people? How will the message of the Lord go? So with the times, things have to change. So this is real renunciation where you living in a family, you're using your status in society, your resources in life, your position in society to connect yourself with the Lord and guiding others also towards that. That's a higher form of renunciation. To use what we have in the Lord's service is also a renunciation, and it is a higher form of renunciation. So that distinction has to be very clear.
Can you please explain what is, Lord's service? Is it doing your own? I mean, all of us come here for a particular soul purpose, and we go about our life in the direction of achieving that soul purpose. Is that Lord's service, or which may or may not include the Lord? So would that also be called Lord's service, which we are doing with utmost sincerity and devotion? What is Lord's service?
So I didn't get the second point.
I have come here in this planet. I have a particular soul purpose, which probably my life is leading me to doing on that path. And
Right.
I am going about that life with utmost sincerity.
True.
Be it with the relationship with my own self or with others. In my life, I may not have added the divine as a part of my life.
Right.
Am I still in Lord's service, or is it necessary to add the Lord as a part of my family to be able to serve Him?
Absolutely essential. The Vedanta Sutra, see the life, the Mahabharata explains 4 activities are common between animals and humans: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending.
Yes.
So, what separates us from animals is, or the other species, is the special ability to inquire. The questions like, who am I? Where do I come from? Where will I go? What is the purpose of life? What is God? What is my relationship? How do I revive that relationship? To inquire about our real dharma. And the last line says, Dharmena hinaha pashubhi samana. And if the person is not seeking answers to these questions, he's not a human being, he's an animal. Because animals are also eating, we are also eating, sleeping, but just that we are doing it in a more polished way. That's it. So we have to rise above the animalistic four propensities. And human life truly begins when we start seeking answers to these questions and start working in that direction. Like, if I wear the uniform of a doctor, do I become a doctor? If I wear the uniform of a lawyer, do I become a lawyer? No, I have to qualify myself. So external body is simply like a garment, the Gita says. Simply by getting the body of a human, one does not become a human. Or every body has a specific goal attached with it. Human life is specially meant for self-realization, God realization, because other activities can be had in other species of life as well. They also have their society, they have their enjoyment, they have their family, and they have everything that we are doing. But human body, human life is specially for self-realization, for God realization. So how can you be God realized without God's presence in your life? So it is absolutely essential, and life should be lived not on the basis of what I feel and think is right, or what the majority of the people are doing it around me, or what the world is saying. Absolutely important that we uh, align our life with the scriptural injunctions, which are considered the manual for life, guidebooks. Scriptures are meant for humans. If we don't study, who else will do it? And they are the guidebooks. So humans means, Vedanta Sutra explains, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. As soon as one is born as a human being, he should do jigyasa, inquiry. But inquiry about what? How to eat, sleep, mate, and different. The animals are also doing that. Birds get up in the morning, they start chirping, where is food? Where is my food? Where is mama? So, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Inquiry about the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Truth. That's the inquiry a human being should be making. And it is our duty, not a matter of choice. Like for children, it is their duty to serve their parents. So, as parts and parcels of God, it is our duty to serve Him also, add Him also into our life. It is simply an act of gratitude. Imagine somebody has brought you up, and then when you are grown up, you just kick him out of your life. Isn't that ungrateful? You don't acknowledge. So it is mentioned in the scriptures there is atonement for every type of sin, but there is no atonement mentioned for an ungrateful person. It is such a big, big sin. It is simply so when we come together to chant, to study or hear from the Gita, Bhagavatam, we go to a temple, we worship the Lord at home. These are simply ways of saying thank you for whatever you have blessed me with. We didn't just fall down from the sky. We chose a family, we chose something, or we had our own intelligence. Who gave us that body? Who decided everything? Who is maintaining us on day-to-day basis? We need water. Okay. Some companies may package some water and we thank the company. But who is the original source of water? If there are no rains, what will we eat? Nuts and bolts? We can't eat nuts and bolts. We have to eat grains. So if you go
Yes.
back, understand every moment we have to keep expressing gratitude. So even if, okay, God
Yes.
realization is not my goal, at least it is a sign of a cultured society to take time out to say thank you. That's why we have ritual. That's why we have all these things that we are supposed to hearing, chanting, studying of scriptures, worshiping the Lord. So gratitude. At least that is the basic we can do. Even if God realization is not my goal, at least say thank you. And that's why this is important to acknowledge the hand that feeds us. So it is something we can't do
Excellent.
without. And if somebody thinks just by doing their work and being good, doing good is also their service to God, they are mistaken. Somewhere there is some problem. Then why should you have uh, God, duty towards God and duty towards there are two dharmas Bhagavad Gita mentioned, duty towards friends, family, society, and duty towards God. Both must go hand in hand. Why should I separate God? I'm just happy being good, doing good, and doing my duty. That's show short envy towards God. That's why you want to avoid that. But what is the harm if everything becomes auspicious? So that is only out of a deep-rooted envy. We don't want to worship Him. We don't want Him in our life. So that has to be done away with. It's an absolute necessity. It's a sign of gratitude. It's a sign of cultured society when we acknowledge the source of the entire creation and our own source as well.
Then, what was the reason that people started moving away from religion and more number of atheists were seen?
Hmm.
What's why has that change taken place?
Time, time factor. So one of the most powerful forces active in this world is time. Kala, we call it. And there is a personality also in charge of this particular force. He's known as Kala, destructive
Yes.
force. And Kala is something that destroys everything with time. Because this is a material world we are living in. This is not a spiritual world. We are living in a material world, although we belong to the spiritual realm. We are stuck here in these material bodies. So when we come here, we have to have a suitable body to survive here. Just like if it is freezing winter in London, you might be sitting in the comfort of your home in India nicely, simple clothes. When you go to London, you'll have to wear different clothes to survive there. Similarly, to when the soul comes to this material world, soul means us. So then we, in order to survive here, we need to have a body which is made up of matter, which is this is a material world. And the nature of matter is it will have a beginning and an end. And time plays an important role. With time, everything deteriorates and degrades. And that's what happens in the universe. Satyuga is the best of all yugas where everybody is more or less a devotee. And every yuga, religion comes down by 25%. So 100% was there in Satyuga. Treta mein there was some deterioration, 75, 50 in Dwapar, and
Wow.
Kali Yuga we only have 25%. And this degradation takes place with time. And those who are born in, now it's not that people who are born in Kali Yuga, Bechara, we are stuck. And what to do? Why should we be born in Kali Yuga if those were the best ones? We made choices. We are given opportunity in every human form of life, but we didn't utilize that, so now we are born here. But even though Kali Yuga is considered the worst of the yugas, still it is in one sense the best. Once some demigods, the devatas, the sages were asked, which yuga would you like to be born in? They said Kali Yuga unanimously. They said, Kali Yuga is the worst of yugas. Why? He said, because in Kali Yuga life duration is short and the process of self-realization is quick and easy. So what is the process of self-realization? Kriteya dhyayato Vishnum. In Satyuga, the process was meditation on the form of the Lord. Tretayam yajuto mukhe. In Treta Yuga, the process became yajna because people couldn't meditate. Dwapar, the process became temple worship, elaborately, punctuality, cleanliness ke saath. Kalautad Hari Kirtanat. In Kali Yuga, the process only chanting the names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This mantra specifically appears in the Kali Santarana Upanishad. So all you have to do to become self-realized is just vibrate your tongue, chanting the names of the Lord. That's it. No thousands of years of tapasya, no elaborate yajnas, no elaborate deity worship. Just chanting the names and you will attain perfection within a short span of time. So with time, yes, things deteriorate and it is going to become much worse. What we are seeing now is not even 1%. The scriptures clearly mention what is going to happen in the future. So this is just not even a trailer, I would say. We've not even begun.
You spoke of Carl, and if you see the present times, you see two things. I mean, you see people who are atheists, but there are those who are becoming uh, grave fanatics.
Yeah.
And many are resorting to conversion and reconversion. I personally feel that religion is a very personal thing, and
Yes.
it should be left to one to actually connect with whichever God they feel most connected to. I may call Krishna. My family members, my brother may say Shiva, someone else may say anything else, but that does not mean that I'm better and the other person is lower. Why is this trend coming? What could be the motive behind all this?
So Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he used to say, religion without proper philosophy is fanaticism or sentimentalism. When does a religion becomes fanaticism? When there is no philosophical understanding. of the absolute truth, what the religion is all about. So all this springs from a very, very deep-rooted false ego, where we think we are better than others. It's not that, oh, he is best, my God is best. वो तो बाद में है. It springs from I am the best. Why he is the best? Because I worship him, so you also should worship. So it is not this God is better or this religion is better. It is because I am the best. So he must also follow this. So it is simply false ego and selfish motives. And no religion actually teaches hatred towards other religion. If everybody could read their scriptures well, we could live in complete harmony, because ultimately you will find so much in common. They're all referring to one God. Why there are wars in the
Yes.
name of, why there are wars in the name of religion? Caused by immature people who have some selfish motives. They want people to bend down in front of them, so they use and misuse and abuse religion. And it is not about, they are not bending down to their religion, they are not bending down to me. That's it. And there is ego. Arey, he's not practicing this religion and it is my religion, so I must make him bend down. So it is that I which is very strong. So no religion teaches hatred. And anybody, whether it be a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, a Sikh, if they read their scriptures well, and a lot of times, most of us have not read it. We just, okay, that's it. We just go all out. But do we even take time out to read our scriptures? Then we wouldn't be doing all this. If fanaticism, we have not understood the essence. See, if we try to create universal brotherhood, how is that possible? Simply by recognizing that we have a common father. So misunderstanding or lack of understanding of this one principle has led to wars in the name of religion, or so much chaos. So this must stop, because, as you said, even the path of the Gita, look Krishna, how broad-minded he is. He speaks about various paths, karma yoga, dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. In the end, what does he say in the last chapter towards the end? So Arjuna, I have told you many things, shown you many paths. Now yathechasi tatha kuru. Now do as you like. In the Bhagavad Gita, in one place, Krishna says, those who are engaged in some form of worship, we should not try and distract them or disturb them. Considering ourselves, oh, we are at a higher, you may be at a superior level, but to distract others from what they are doing because they need gradual elevation, just pulling them away from that by force is never recommended. That is not the path of the Gita. All religions teach there is one God, and all religions teach we must love God, and all religions teach we must love everybody because everybody is a child of God. So when this philosophy is not understood, this is what happens then. We try to create chaos, we try to create disturbance. So much is happening. And this is all again only false ego, nothing else. We want our clan to just become big. And whoever it may be, whoever thinks like that is not a true follower of his religion, whoever it may be. I'm not naming one or two somebody, but I'm just addressing the philosophy, not a particular person or a group of people, but I'm just saying, I'm just addressing the mentality. Why can't we live happily together when we know it is the same person? So when some people exploit based on their selfish motives, then this is what happens. And they have selfish motives and they do not have philosophical understanding or that maturity. So that's what is happening nowadays.
It's actually very sad. Anyway, in the book you have spoken of Aham Brahmasmi.
Ji.
So is the understanding right that it means that I am Brahman? And if so, where does the Guru play a role? Is the Guru really required? From what you've just said, I feel that that understanding which you're speaking of, we need to have a person who's well read, who has understood our scriptures well, and is able to interpret it right.
Right.
I feel very often the interpretation is where we miss it. So please explain Aham Brahmasmi and the role of the Guru.
Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So Brahman means I'm spirit, I am not matter. Some people interpret it as or misinterpret as saying I am God. No, that's not what it
God.
means. Aham Brahmasmi means I'm spiritual. Brahman refers to, now Brahman word is used in various context in the scriptures, but when it is said, this is I think from Vedanta Sutra or one of the Upanishad, Aham Brahmasmi, it refers to I am spiritual being, I am spirit. I am not matter or material body. And this is also the first teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, that we are not these material bodies, we are encased in material bodies, we are spiritual beings. So how can I become God? We say God is one and all of us are also God. That's a contradictory statement. So logically also we can smash these statements. It means I am spirit, I am spiritual, I am adhyatmic, I am not bhautik, I am not material. And that is why if we try to understand scriptures from our own point of view, we will always end up at this juncture misunderstanding. So in any field, let alone this I mean the spiritual field, usko side mein rakhte hain. Let us keep it aside for a while. In any field, when we want to learn something, if I want to learn football, don't I take help of a teacher? When our children want to learn something, don't we send them to the teacher? Why not have everything is on Google, books are there in the market? Why have educational institutions? Anything anyone want to learn, they go to a proper teacher, an authorized teacher who teaches them from authorized books. Spiritual life is no exception. You want to learn scriptures, you want to learn the truth, you have to approach a bona fide teacher who can teach you from the authorized books, which are the scriptures. And
How do we identify?
in the spiritual field, that same teacher is known as Guru. Because scriptures talk about what is right and what is wrong in general terms, dharma and adharma. But the application part has to be understood from a guru only. Because in some situations, dharma might become adharma, adharma might become dharma. So application part has to be understood from the guru. And how do we identify uh, a bona fide guru? So there is a triangle. Guru, sadhu, shastra. So if there is a guru, then he must speak in line with the previous great sadhus. Triangle is Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. That triangle, it should complete. A Guru is speaking something, some Guru. Okay, you come across some bona fide or a famous Guru, bona fide name. Let's use the word famous Guru. So whatever he's speaking, is it in line with the previous great sadhus like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya? And these are proven great souls who have been inspiring so many, and their teachings have transformed so many hearts, still transforming. Vallabhacharya, and all the ones which I have mentioned here, you will find, is what this person speaking in line with the previous sadhus? Number one, who is God? How to love God? What is the purpose of life? And they have defined it. Is it in line with what they have spoken? And both must align with scriptures. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. And is he speaking? Is it coming from Shastra or no? Because a lot of times people are just speaking their mind out. You see big uh, things will do, and but they will not have even a single picture of God around them. They just enjoy that halo around them, and that's it. So that's not a real guru's job. Is a guru, real guru never says surrender to me. He is not attracting people towards him. He is attracting people towards God. He doesn't say surrender unto me, he says surrender to God. That is one of the hallmark qualities. He doesn't want to enjoy limelight. He's saying surrender to him. And he is there to connect us with him. He's a bona fide representative of the Lord. So he himself is a devotee. He knows the conclusions of the scriptures. He is able to teach that to his followers. And Falena Parichayate, as they say, and the result should tell us whether this is bona fide. How many hearts are getting connected to God? How many hearts are getting transformed and falling in love with God? वो गुरु का job है to make his disciples fall in love with God. But that is the only love which can satisfy, to connect them, to give that dimension to their life. Not to keep them on the level of body, mind. Okay, तुम्हारी टांग में दर्द है, do this, you do breathing, you do this, you can learn some techniques. That's not the job of a guru. Guru's job is to connect people with God. That's why that position is there as a guru. And to come across a bona fide guru, these are the simple external symptoms you can understand. But most importantly, our desire has to be very sincere, because there is a system within the universe that we will be supplied a particular personality in our life according to our desire, the sincerity of our desire. If our desire is to just have a level of spirituality, but we don't want to practice and we don't want to follow it, we just want to have something to say when we are sitting in a group of friends. Oh, I also do this. I also hear from the Gita. I also have a guru. Then that kind of person will enter our life who will just keep us on that level. Even after 20 years, there will be no transformation. But if our desire is really serious and sincere to connect and know about him, even if we are zero to begin with, then that kind of person will enter our life who will hold our hand and guide us towards the destination. So our desire has to be very sincere, not superficial at all. We want a genuine person who can guide us, and that kind of person will be sent by the Lord into our life. It is a fact. Even if you're sitting in the jungles of Amazon in the remotest corner, the Lord will guide you there also, and the person will be sent to you, you will be guided to the person. All we have to have
Wonderful.
is a sincere desire.
The intent and desire. Excellent. Tell me, Prabhu, from the time that you became a devotee of Lord Krishna, have there been any instances that you felt the Lord Himself is there guiding you, supporting you? Could you share a few instances?
Uh, See, this happens. Now it's a public platform, but you can feel the, not going into details, but you can always feel that after something happens, okay, this is happening by the Lord's grace. Because for me also, like, to speak, I'm like one of the most introvert people in the world. Now also you give me one corner in a building, I can keep sitting there for 10 days without speaking a word. Maybe sit with my books and do nothing else. But it's very difficult to uh, mention incidents, but just it is something which, like, if somebody is hit with a stone, and if you ask him, can you tell me how much you are hurt? So only that person can experience. So experiences, if you ask me in general, I can say at every moment I can experience that grace from where I was and where I am, what goals I had in life, and what things happened in my life that led to me becoming a monk. Now I look back, I can connect all the dots. Every failure, every setback, every disappointment in the long run has become a blessing. And even before I joined ISKCON, there were some attachments, and how Krishna just took them away in his own style, because the way Krishna works is very, very difficult to understand. He's the most mystical person. But in the end, you find your love and faith in him has grown. So how he does things. And so I had like one or two big, big attachments before I decided to join full time. and how Krishna knew it is my one of the deepest attachments, how he just took it out from my heart in the deepest corner and just threw it away, showed it to me. It was excruciatingly painful, but then I felt light after that. 6, 7 months were a lot of intense struggle. So, rest everything is happening, and I am also like a witness. So,
I
something details are something which I can't, but I can just tell you some general things. I can
no,
honestly
it's
say,
perfect sense.
he's there. He is
I
there.
just want to say that, while you were talking,
Hmm.
uh, I could feel the vibrations, and I hope everyone who's watching this interview felt the same when you were talking about the divine power being with you every single moment. Whatever we call that divine power, if I could feel it, so I can very well understand uh, what you mean by his presence there every time. Prabhu, I must say this has been a very enchanting and a very enlightening discussion with you. And I am so grateful that SGRKF Knowledge Series gave this opportunity. And I hope that, I get another chance to discuss with you and have more clarity on the book and what devotion means. Thank you so much. Over
Thank
to
you
you, Corey.
very much.
Wow, it was really a wonderful session as Sir has shared his insights and enlightened us. Before we conclude, I would like to thank Prabhu Nityanand Charan ji and Sangeeta Varma ma'am for their insightful discussion, sharing great knowledge and experience, and also giving their valuable time for this SGR Knowledge Foundation Knowledge Series. I also thank Chairman of Raisuni Group of Institutions, Mr. Sunil Raisuni, for giving this opportunity, and Westland Publication for the support to this session. A very big thanks to all our viewers for attending the session. The session will be there on our OCLF Nagpur YouTube channel and SGR Knowledge Foundation Facebook page. And tomorrow's session, yes, tomorrow's session will be on the topic writing writing books that children read by Dr. Manjari Prabhu in conversation with Mr. Dipankar Mukherjee. We will be coming up with more sessions. Till then, stay tuned with us and please do subscribe if you haven't to our SGRKF Facebook page and OCLF YouTube channel. Once again, thank you so much, Prabhu sir. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Welcome to Rai Soni Group, a vision beyond.